Okay, this recipe we're going to make candied jalapenos. We're going to start off with about 3 pounds of jalapenos, maybe just a little bit more. You don't really want more. Just do the recipe the way it is, okay? We're going to put these in water, just kind of clean them up a little bit. Dice up all of our jalapenos, get them kind of clean, throw away the stems, and the end pieces we're going to throw away. We want these about 1/4 of an inch or maybe just a little bit smaller. We're going to keep the seeds and everything. So we're going to dice up all 3 pounds of this, put them in a container, and then we'll get started. Okay. Okay, we're going to get this started here. We're going to start with 6 cups. 6 cups of sugar. We're going to put them in. We're going to do 2 cups of the vinegar, the apple cider vinegar. Two cups. Put this on a large pot. 1 tablespoon of garlic. 1 tablespoon of cayenne pepper. 1/2 teaspoon of celery seed. 1/2 teaspoon. 1/2 teaspoon of the turmeric. Now we're going to slowly bring this to a boil. Once it starts boiling, we're going to turn it down and just let it cook for 5 minutes. So right now we're just going to put it on a medium high and slowly start boiling this and stir it up really good. Okay, once we bring this to a boil, we're going to stir it up a little bit. We're going to turn it down. We're going to let it simmer for 5 minutes. Okay, now after 5 minutes of boiling this, we're going to add our jalapenos carefully. We want the seeds and everything in there. So go ahead and put the seeds in. Mix it up a little bit. We're going to bring this back to a boil for exactly 4 minutes. Okay, after 4 minutes of boiling our jalapenos in there, we stirred them up a little bit. We're going to take a slotted spoon. We're going to take the jalapenos out and we're going to put them in the jars. We want them 1/4 of an inch from the top. You can get a measuring stick like this for basic canning, and it has little slots on it to tell you how high you are. Just set it in the jar and you can see the different heights of however high you have your stuff inside of it. We're going to go 1/4 of an inch. We're not going to take any juice out at this time. Okay, now that we have our jalapenos in our jars, 1/4 inch or a little bit more from the top, we're going to bring this back to a boil, to a hard boil, for about 7 minutes. 6 minutes to 7 minutes. The recipe calls for 6 minutes. I've made this before. 7 minutes is actually better. So bring it back to a hard boil. Let it boil for 7 minutes. Okay, after boiling for 7 minutes, now we're going to take our ladle and we're going to transfer the juice into our cans. Now we only want these to be 1/4 inch of juice away from the top. So let me get all this transferred over and then we'll come back to this. Okay, now that we have our juice in our jars, we're going to take our measuring stick and we're going to burp each jar. So you're going to put it in, just kind of push it around. Just try to get the air bubbles out. We need to get all the air bubbles out that we can. Get to the bottom. Just kind of push it around. And then we'll add more juice. Or we could take a spoon if we have too much juice, and we could take it out. So if you got too much juice, don't worry about it. You can get it out with a spoon. Or if you need more juice, just add it. We're going to make sure that the juice is right at a 1/4 inch. So this would be the second mark. So we're going to go to a 1/4 inch. 1/4 inch. And that's how you measure it until you're comfortable with this. Okay? Okay, now we're going to take some vinegar on a towel. We're going to wipe our lid down. Make sure we don't have nothing on it. And get it clean. And then we're going to put our lid on. We don't want to touch the lid. We can touch the ring. We don't want to touch the lid. Then we're going to take these, grab them with your mitt. We're going to tighten them down, hand tight, firm. That's about it. You don't want them too tight. Then we're going to put them back in the water bath. We're going to water bath these. These are half pints for 15 minutes. Okay, got all the jars back in my water bath. Didn't have enough half pints, so I had to use 2 pints for the juice. Go ahead and can the juice because you can use that for other stuff. Put it on whatever you like. Just didn't have enough cans, so I went ahead and put them in 1 pint cans. Now we're going to bring this to a boil. Once it starts to boil, we're going to put a lid on it. We're going to boil it for 15 minutes and make sure they seal. Okay, after our 15 minutes, we're going to turn the stove off, take off the lid slowly and carefully. We're going to let this cool for about a minute. Just let it kind of quit boiling. Basic canning. And then we're going to take this out, set it on the side, nice and slow. We're going to let these cool for about 5 minutes. Okay, after this is cooled for a few minutes, your discretion, we're going to take these out, pour the water off. We're going to set them in our heavy towels. That's what we have our heavy towels over here for. Set them all in the heavy towel. We're going to cover them up. We're going to listen for them for the pop. When it pops, you know they sealed correctly. When you line them up, don't put them. They put them close to each other, but don't set them right next to each other so they have area to cool. Always have your mitt ready just in case you have to grab it. Now remember, these are hot. These are probably close to 200 degrees. I could be wrong on that, but I'm just saying they're hot. We're going to cover them up. And then tomorrow we're going to wash them. The lid's off. We're going to date them. We're going to take the rings off and we're going to store them. You need to store these for 1 month. Minimum 1 month. And they won't be so hot. Then you can open them and eat them. After you open them, just make sure you refrigerate them. And that's it.